Hello and welcome to eGreen Channel. Today we're diving deep into the Horn of Africa, where a fragile peace is being tested by shifting alliances and renewed tensions. Just 2 years ago, Ethiopia and Eritrea were fighting side by side against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF. But today the entire picture has changed. Ethiopia is now accusing its former ally, Eritrea, of plotting a new war, and the implications are staggering for the entire region. So, what exactly is going on? Let's break it down. To understand the current crisis, we need to go back to November 2022. The Pretoria Peace Agreement officially ended the brutal 2-year conflict in northern Ethiopia. It was a landmark deal between the Ethiopian federal government and the TPLF, but there was one major player conspicuously absent from the negotiating table. Eritrea, which had fought alongside Ethiopian forces, was not a signatory to the peace deal. This omission created a massive question mark over the region's future. What were Eritrea's long-term intentions? And how would they react to a peace process they weren't part of? For a while, things seemed quiet, but beneath the surface, the relationship between Ethiopia and Eritrea, which had seen a historic reconciliation in 2018, began to sour once again. The primary catalyst for this breakdown appears to be Ethiopia's renewed and very public ambition to secure direct access to the Red Sea. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has been vocal about this, arguing that sea access is an existential issue for the landlocked nation of over 120 million people. However, this push for a port is viewed by Eritrea as a direct strategic threat. From Asmara's perspective, Ethiopia's maritime ambitions could challenge its sovereignty and regional standing. This fundamental disagreement has set the stage for a dramatic fallout. In a startling development, the Ethiopian government has officially accused Eritrea of preparing to wage war. In a formal letter sent to the United Nations Secretary General, Ethiopia laid out a series of explosive allegations. The central claim is that Eritrea is not just planning a unilateral attack, but is actively coordinating with a hardline faction within its old enemy, the TPLF. Think about that for a moment. Two former adversaries allegedly teaming up against their recent ally. The letter alleges that this collusion has become increasingly visible in recent months, especially in Ethiopia's northern regions. According to the Ethiopian government, this isn't just political maneuvering. It's a coordinated military effort. The letter claims that Eritrea and these TPLF hardliners are funding, mobilizing, and directing armed groups inside Ethiopia, with a particular focus on the Amhara region. This is where the Fano militias come in. The Fano, a collection of Amhara nationalist armed groups, have been engaged in intense clashes with federal security forces for over 2 years. Ethiopia now alleges that Eritrea is fueling this conflict as a way to destabilize the country from within. The letter suggests that military coordination is actively taking place on the ground, pointing to a dangerous proxy war dynamic. The accusations get even more specific. Federal authorities claim that some TPLF commanders, presumably those who oppose the Pretoria peace deal, have directly participated in recent Fano-led military operations. These operations reportedly included attempts to seize territory in the Amhara region, escalating the conflict from localized clashes to a more organized insurgency. The ultimate goal of this alleged Eritrea TPL-Fano triangle, according to Addis Ababa, is to weaken the federal government, undermine national security, and ultimately throw the country back into chaos. It's a strategy aimed at creating a multi-front crisis that the federal government would struggle to contain. Of course, this is a story with multiple sides. The TPLF leadership has vehemently denied all of these accusations. They have labeled the claims as fabricated propaganda, designed to distract from the federal government's own failures. The TPLF's counter-narrative is that Addis Ababa has not fully implemented the terms of the 2022 peace agreement. They accuse the federal government of dragging its feet on key provisions, such as the withdrawal of non-federal forces from Tigray and the restoration of services. Furthermore, the TPLF has made its own accusations, claiming that the federal government is training new armed groups to destabilize Tigray, essentially accusing Addis of the very same tactics it alleges Eritrea is using. For the TPLF, this is a political narrative battle, not an accurate security assessment. So far, Eritrea has remained silent. President Isaias Afwerki's government has not publicly responded to Ethiopia's accusations, a strategy of calculated ambiguity that it has often employed. This silence leaves everyone guessing about Eritrea's true intentions and adds another layer of uncertainty to an already volatile situation. Is this silence an implicit denial, or is it the quiet before a storm? Without a statement from Asmara, the international community is left to interpret actions rather than words. What we're witnessing is a complete realignment of regional power dynamics. The straightforward wartime alliance of Ethiopia and Eritrea against the TPLF has shattered into a complex web of fragmented rivalries. Each actor, the Ethiopian government, Eritrea, the TPLF, and Amhara regional forces, is jockeying for position, seeking to gain leverage in a post-conflict environment that is anything but stable. The peace that was celebrated in Pretoria now seems incredibly fragile. Analysts have been warning about this for some time. The exclusion of Eritrea from the peace agreement was seen by many as a critical flaw. It created a strategic vacuum in northern Ethiopia and left one of the main belligerents with no stake in the peace process. This has fostered deep mistrust among all parties. Ethiopia doesn't trust Eritrea or the hardline TPLF elements. The TPLF doesn't trust the federal government to uphold its end of the deal, and Amhara forces feel marginalized and betrayed by both the federal government and the TPLF. This toxic brew of suspicion and competing interests raises the terrifying prospect of a new, multi-front conflict re-emerging. The clashes in Amhara, the tensions on the Eritrea-Tigray border, and the war of words between Addis Ababa and Mekelle are not isolated incidents. They are interconnected developments rooted in unresolved political grievances, shifting alliances, and the fragile aftermath of the 2022 Pretoria Peace Agreement. These events reflect deeper struggles over autonomy, territorial control, security guarantees, and the balance of power in northern Ethiopia. Each front influences the others. Instability in Amhara affects negotiations with Tigray. Friction between Ethiopia and Eritrea affects border security, and internal political competition fuels competing narratives and mistrust. This makes the current situation not merely a series of local conflicts, but part of a broader, evolving contest over governance, legitimacy, and the future political landscape of the region. They are interconnected pieces of a puzzle that could spell disaster for millions of people who have already endured so much suffering. The international community is watching closely, but the window to de-escalate and pull the region back from the brink may be closing. The dream of a lasting peace in the Horn of Africa is once again hanging by a thread. Thank you so much for watching. This is a rapidly developing story, and the situation on the ground is complex and fluid. We'll continue to track it closely. What do you think about these shifting alliances? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to eGreen channel for more in-depth analysis on critical global events. See you next time.